When you mentioned going down to Albany and talking to other towns and villages, a lot of them were really concerned. The governor's budget this year,
Yes.
he was looking to eliminate aid to municipalities. He has reversed course on that now and put that money back. Not a lot of money for, how much would it have been for Plattsburgh?
So for the town of Plattsburgh, it's approximately $90,000, you know, and a budget
money
of
that would go to snow removal.
well,
and
it
potholes and things
hits the general fund, so it's the most flexible money that New York State gives you. So $90,000, though, you know, could be an FTE for, you know, an employee, depending on how that moves around. For some of our other towns in the North Country, you're talking six figures. And what is being proposed now is that the funds actually are being funded through the county, which is really just passing the burden on to them. The fight is still going on. I mean, the budget is still not done, but we've been working with Assemblyman Jones and Senator Little on this and being right out in front.
The transportation manufacturers, Bombardier winning a huge contract at the end of last year with the New Jersey Transit to build multi-level cars for them, starting with about 100, but could get up to 1,000. It could be worth $3.5 billion when all is said and done. Also Nova Bus, both of them must closely be watching what's happening in New York City, the negotiations between the city and the Cuomo administration over a new plan for the MTA, because I imagine hundreds, if not thousands, of rail cars and buses could be at stake there, contracts down the line.
Absolutely, and I applaud, you know, Assemblyman Billy Jones for bringing up the speaker up to the region just a summer ago. You know, giving him, you know, that on-site experience, being able to talk with some of the workers. The new Greyhound buses are the ones that are being made right here in Plattsburgh by Prevost. So a lot of these products have that stamp right on them, made here in Plattsburgh. And you're right, people continue to look at the transportation needs, not only in New York City, but, you know, from coast to coast and north of us in Canada. Yeah.
With all the trade tensions this past summer between the U.S. and Canada, the tariffs, the new NAFTA 2.0 that still hasn't been approved by Congress, is there uncertainty, or are these companies fairly certain about their futures here in Plattsburgh? Are they not really feeling the effects of all the uncertainty over trade?
I think people remained cautiously optimistic. We have such a strong partnership, you know, with our Canadian neighbors, that everybody knew that it would eventually work out. But how would it work out? What would it look like? The finer details. And, you know, I think it's interesting that it's often being referred to as NAFTA 2.0 than the UMSC, you know, more than anything, because it didn't really change that much. You know, so the businesses and the local community and the workforce will have to see how that fleshes out over the course of the next several months and years. But, you know, I'm glad to see that behind us.
There were the hurling of insults by the administration toward the Prime Minister and toward Canada, and a lot of Canadians aren't exactly thrilled or happy with the United States right now, but that isn't impacting business or tourism on this side of the border.
No, I mean, I think we're seeing actually we're seeing an uptick in people coming to our region. It was also another reason that we put Bienvenue on our water tower. We wanted to remind our Canadian visitors that are day trippers or coming down during the summer that we appreciate their business. We appreciate that kind of international infusion that occurs here. In fact, anytime I see a Canadian plate, you know, when I'm shopping myself, I'll go over and kind of survey them and say, what brings you here? What's going on? What are you looking for? And it's always a positive experience.
You don't get an earful about their unhappiness with the United States?
No, in fact, that they say, you know, that their border experience has been very positive. You know, coming down and shopping has been great. The Plattsburgh International Airport is a positive thing. So nothing negative, actually. You
mentioned a little while ago about Hudson Headwaters and their new health facility that's in partnership with CVPH, opening over near the Hannaford store in Plattsburgh. Is this a model of what we're going to see in healthcare now? Centers like this that are really serve all kinds of services under one roof, where people can go and they can get their primary care there, they can get behavioral care there at some of these facilities. If not now, there may be dental care at some point. Is this really the wave of the future for rural healthcare And are you looking for good things as far as that facility?
Everything that I'm seeing and hearing and talking with folks that are in the healthcare industry, specifically the members of 1199, for instance, they're saying that you're really starting to see that transition. I think that there is always going to be a place for the main hospital campus in the city of Plattsburgh, but you're going to see kind of a rural outgrowth to smaller units or mixed use units, making sure that they can address the multi-generational needs. But we do have an aging population here, so it's a lot easier to be able to go door by door or floor by floor, right, and to tick off 2 or 3 appointments in one day, rather than doing it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, be able to do it all in one fell swoop. And I think that's what Hudson Hedgewaters really offers, is an inclusive experience that really kind of hits the ball out of the park.
And with a focus on primary care, again, the thought is get to these health issues early before people end up at CVPH in the emergency room in crisis.
Right. But you're also going to see a continuation of the urgent care. People are really looking, to fit their needs of, it's 9 o'clock at night, what do I do? Do I want to go to the emergency room, or can I address it with urgent care too? So I think you're going to see healthcare continue to change over the course of the next several years.
The relations between the town and city have been strained for the past couple of years now. The latest is over the city looking to annex 230 acres out near the old compost facility on Ruger Street, wanting to create a site there for the municipal lighting department to free up that site downtown along the Saranac River, potentially for development. The city was hopeful that that could move ahead quite quickly, but it's taking longer, I think, than the city anticipated. And where is it now? The question is over who's going to head up the environmental review of that site, and are you seeing a time frame for this happening, or is this still something that's going to have to play out over the next several months?
Those are all good questions, and let me first say that the relationship between the town and the city isn't strained. There's difference of opinion, and that often happens. I represent the town of Plattsburgh, the mayor represents the city of Plattsburgh, and there often seems kind of like this rock'em sock'em, head-to-head kind of controversy that goes on when we have difference of opinion. The town of Plattsburgh remains steadfast in the position of, we will take a comprehensive review of what is being laid before us. We have not seen all the details yet. The town of Plattsburgh has a legacy of planning, and that's where we're coming from. The city really kind of comes from the position as thought leaders. Wouldn't it be really great if we could get some more land and bring about some more businesses? Well, what's the impact going to be? What's the impact to the environment going to be? What's the impact to the traffic going to be? Do residents of the city of Plattsburgh and the town of Plattsburgh want a new industrial park right next to them? Do they want the old compost plant to be fired back up? These are all questions that need to be answered, and I'm sure that we'll get there. That's why we have to take a comprehensive review. We feel that we are in a much better position to be the lead agency for the environmental impact because we have years, decades of experience doing just that. And the land is currently within the town of Plattsburgh's municipal borders. So we'll work collaboratively. We'll move forward on that. We've both taken the position that we would like to be the lead agent. Unfortunately, now it's going to get kicked over to the DEC commissioner to make that judgment. After that, we'll move forward. The
town is moving forward with plans to develop the waterfront on the south side of the city, the former Air Force Base fuel jetty site, and creating what's being called the Battlefield Memorial Gateway. Tell us a little bit about what that is and where those plans are right now, how much progress you've made on that, and what you hope to create there.
This certainly is a passion project for a number of people, including John Rock, who was one of the instigators to get this thing kind of up and running. He worked with Post 1619 a number of years ago to refab the flag over on Crab Island. But we've been working with the Clinton County American Legion group, meaning the entire group of Clinton County, to create, in another term, almost a veterans memorial park. But really it's a gateway because it's part of what we're calling the Triangle of History. Right across from the parcel that the town owns is Crab Island. To the south of that is Valcourt Island, and then coming back. So American Revolution, Battle of Plattsburgh, to modern day, the old jetties are part of the old Plattsburgh Air Force Base. And we're going to create an opportunity that gets people out on the water, that's very focused on our veterans. We have secured some funds through Assemblyman Jones, and we'll be making a formal announcement over the course of the next several weeks. But this really is going to be a one-of-a-kind project, not only for the region, but for the nation.
The plan is to create a boardwalk out there that juts out into the lake, and to have boats to take visitors over to Crab Island. And then as part of that, perhaps a phase 2 would be a veterans park there that would have a Vietnam Veterans Wall, memorial wall?
Yes, and it will have some interpretation opportunities. It will connect with the bike trail in the city of Plattsburgh. It will connect to the Empire Trail. I mean, there's so many pieces to it. I really encourage your viewers to keep an eye on it when we're making the big formal announcement. It's truly going to be something special.
Right now, this is just industrial wasteland in there. What do you hope this becomes?
I believe that this is going to become a place where veterans and wounded warriors can come to connect with a number of things in the interpretation part of it. But I also hope that this is a place where teachers will bring school kids to engage in our local history. But I also hope this becomes an international pinpoint where people will get to better know the history that is unfolded right here in our backyard. Like I said, from the American Revolution all the way up to modern day history, this is going to be a gateway for us to engage our history.
And a lot of people have said for years that Plattsburgh really ought to highlight its military history, and that could lead to an increase in tourism. Do you see that happening with this?
Yes, I do, because this is going to provide the interpretation, but it's also going to provide something that it's not really offered anywhere else, and that's waterfront access. I mean, so it's going to be ADA compliant. It's going to provide the opportunities to get over to Crab Island and Valcour Island, also just to get onto Lake Champlain itself. And it's just nestled in a really neat little area of our community. So, I mean, I'm kind of hesitating a little bit putting everything out there because there's so much there. And in fact, the birth of our nation, our 250th anniversary of this great country is coming up too. We're really hoping that we can hit that hallmark so that we can do a big celebration for the 250th as well.
Any timetable for this becoming reality?
So we're actually working on the engineering study right now. So we're hoping over the course of the next, say, 3 to 6 months that we actually start putting some shovels in the ground and doing some of the first couple of phases. Yep.
This May, you're going to be leading the next honor flight.
I am.
To Washington, D.C. This will be the 27th North Country Honor Flight. You went along, we tagged along last October on the flight, and you were along sort of as second in command or and training for being the flight leader here, overseeing all of the veterans. Why are you doing this?
So my grandfather was a veteran. I grew up in a household. I was very blessed that they had an in-law apartment downstairs. I jokingly say that I know that I'm the favorite grandson because my grandmother and I share the same birthday. But my grandfather was probably one of the most influential people in my life, and he was a veteran in the Korean time period. He was never served overseas. He was state-bound. Always wished he could go, but he was in the Air Force and always talked about a number of the values and what it means to be an American and patriotism and living your truth and serving others, really the service portion of it. And my sister-in-law served in the Marines during the Iraq War. I never served, but I've always looked at it that my generation owes a great deal of gratitude to folks like my grandfathers and some of the older generation, but also the young men and women that are serving now. And though I didn't serve, my way to serve is to show appreciation and to do whatever we can for our veterans. And when the opportunity came up to serve as a flight leader, I just couldn't say no.
So the honor flight has been able to escort hundreds of veterans, World War II, Korean, Vietnam, and in between, conflicts in between, to the memorials in their honor in Washington, D.C. And for many of them, it is a truly memorable day and an experience.
It is.
And it must be nice to be able to do that, to help do that.
It's very humbling. I mean, so one of the things that the flight leader gets to do is to do home visits. Typically, they're home visits, and you sit down with the veterans and you interview them and get to understand, why did they serve, why did they step up, what was that period of their life like. Many of them showing, pictures and some of the medallions and awards that they may have, but. It's completely humbling to just have them allow you into their life for that, and also then to tag along and to be part of that experience. And a lot of these men and women haven't been to DC to see their memorials in their honor, and it took far too long for many of these memorials to actually be built in their honor too. In fact, when we went down, we met Senator Bob Dole, who was there shaking hands, and he was one of the main inspirations and motivators to see that great memorial built.
He was, and he was out there for several hours, welcoming the veterans coming to visit that World War II memorial.
Yeah, and Honor Flight becomes kind of a fraternity within a larger organization. They all wear their jackets, and I interact with a bunch of the guys that are part of a coffee club on a regular basis, and they're wearing their Honor Flight jackets, and there's really something special about it. Some of the folks have said, even with their wives in the room, that it's been one of the best days in their life, even surpassing their wedding day. And just good spirits, and it's really hard to put in words. I really, really mean that. I just look forward to every opportunity interacting with these folks.
Michael Cashman, thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us.